All right, some major news coming out here today. Of course, the PRI show is well underway in Indianapolis, Indiana, and we knew that some announcements were going to be coming out. And this one, when it comes to sprint car side of things, this was the big one of the day and maybe the big one of the week, unless something else crazy happens that I don't know about. But Giovanni Scelzi and Spire Motorsports make it official that they will be racing together in 2026 full-time with Highland Racing. Gio Scelzi, the 24-year-old driver out of Fresno, California, it will be the Spire Motorsports number 77. And yes, in case you were wondering, I have had that Spire Motorsports 77 magnet for a long time. I've had it for like 2 months now. Just been sitting over here on my desk waiting to use it. And finally today I was able to use it. Unfortunately, if you saw the car, that is not the correct number scheme, so I will have to buy another one. Either way, I've got it on the board, so I thought that was kind of cool. First time magnet use there for this video here today. Of course, with this announcement, it means that a brand new team has come into sprint car racing, and that is a big deal, of course. I mean, we've seen a lot of the same teams running on the national tours here recently. I'm trying to think off the top of my head right now what team has come in, put a brand new operation together, new trailer, new cars, a whole new team, all the stuff, and come in a way like this. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I'm sure there is, but I'm just not in the moment thinking of it. And of course, Spire Motorsports has some huge financial backing behind it. They have a NASCAR team, of course, a 2-car, 3-car team, I'm thinking. And obviously, they've got a ton of sponsors behind them. If you've watched any of Dirt Tracker and Justin Fiedler's videos, he has gone into detail about everything going on behind the scenes at Spire Motorsports. I mean, it is an absolutely massive entity that they have put together there. Everything in the background, not just the Spire Motorsports part of it, but everything else that is going on. This is going to be a huge team and an incredible addition to the field in sprint car racing going into 2026. It was also mentioned in one of the many articles that were put out that it will be a partnership with Clausen Marshall Racing, but the shop will be located in Mooresville, North Carolina, near the Spire Motorsports NASCAR shop. I'm not sure if it's the same shop or not. It might be, but in Mooresville, North Carolina. I have to think that it's probably close, or if not in the same building as the Spire Motorsports NASCAR Cup Series team. But that, that's something we don't see very often. Sprint car teams, not many of them are based out of the North Carolina area. Of course, Casey Kane Racing is there, but off the top of my head, I can't think of any other ones besides this new team of Spire Motorsports. Now, I did want to read a quote coming in here from Jeff Dickerson, who is the guy behind this whole thing. If you don't know who Jeff Dickerson is, he does have a pretty big background in dirt racing. He was a crew member on a USAC midget for a long time in USAC, and he was Kyle Larson's agent for a long time when he was still a full-time dirt racer. And so Jeff Dickerson, people might know him as, that's the Spire guy for NASCAR. Well, he is, but he's also a big-time dirt racing fan. And so he says, quote, going on the road with High Limit is like a dream come true, and to do this with people I have deep respect and appreciation for makes it even better. We've worked with and for Kyle Larson, Brad Sweet, Kendra Jacobs, and Josh Peterman for years, and I have an immense amount of gratitude to them for not only building a great series, but for making a series that offers long-term growth to all of us in a sport we all love. I'm thankful to Tim Clausen and the Marshalls providing a launch pad to make this jump, and we look forward to working closely this season. Now, what he means by that, of course, is Clausen Marshall Racing. I mentioned they do have a partnership with them. Spire Motorsports, if you've not been paying attention, has been on Tyler Courtney's 7BC car as a sponsor for the last 2 years. I want to say they came in midway through 2024 season of Highland Racing. And, before that, I want to say it was just Nos Energy Drink and Elliott's Custom Trailers and Carts. And then for a while, you would hear me say those two and Spire Motorsports. And then I was told a long time ago that this was something in the works. They were trying to put a team together. And about 2 or a year and a half later, it finally does come true. And everything lined up perfectly to make this happen. We'll get more into that here in just a moment. But did want to read a quote as well from Giovanni Scelzi from this article on HighlandRacing.com. From Gio Scelzi, to see the enthusiasm from the employees at Spire Motorsports, that's really something that made an impact on me. The NASCAR stuff is their job, but it's obvious they enjoy sprint car racing. When you have an owner like Jeff Dickerson who truly loves sprint car racing, comes from the background, it really makes this an exciting opportunity. The guys who run up front all have elite equipment, so now more than ever, it's the people that matter. Having someone as accomplished as Eric Prutzman is just as important. And I think out of all of the things going on in this video, the most important thing, at least to me, is the addition of six-time National Sprint Car Crew Chief Champion Eric Prutzman. He will be the crew chief of the car. Of course, he was with Brad Sweet last year when they won that high limit championship. At the end of the year, they made an announcement that he was going to be with Casey Kane to run the high limit tour. And then they didn't even make it to Vegas before things went sideways. Prutzman left the team, and he jumped around to a couple of different race cars. He helped Ryan Newton. He helped out Doug Hammaker a little bit and some other guys, in the PA area. And, was helping those guys and not really do anything too crazy on the crew chief side of things, was kind of rolling the bottom a little bit. And then he got the call from Spire Motorsports to set this up. And so Prutzman, this is going to be, in my opinion, a championship caliber team right out of the gate with him helping out. Also found out from a Facebook post that Cole Newhalfen, who I mentioned him several times in videos on this channel, was a a crew member on Brad Sweet's team there for a while, was a crew member on the second Clausen Stenhouse Jr. Marshall Racing 17 car there at the end of the year. He helped out Ryan Newton with Eric Prutzman. So Prutzman and Newhalfen do have a little bit of a connection there. And so Newhalfen will be the car chief on this entry for next year as well. So Prutzman, it cannot be stated enough how big of a deal it is to have him as the guy, as the leader of this team when they go out on the road. Now, another thing that is very, very important in this is that the 9 card has been bought from Jason Myers Racing by Spire Motorsports to join the High Roller Club with High Limit Racing. Now, that's another thing I mentioned when the stars kind of aligned, right? Jason Myers Racing trying to go do something else, getting out of the High Roller Club. It was the right time for Spire Motorsports to come in. They bought the 9 card, and in an article by Kyle McFadden, he mentioned on FlowRacing.com that from some industry insiders, the reported price, the selling price from Jason Myers to Spire Motorsports for that number 9 card was $400,000. And mind you, the card value for next year is $260,000. That's how much money will be paid out from the 9 card over the course of the 2026 season. Spire Motorsports paid $140,000 more than the actual card value, which, I'm no financial expert. I'm not a financial advisor either, I might want to add. But I feel like that is pretty darn good to be the first selling of one of these cards and for it to be a pretty substantial number over the top of what the actual card value pays out. To me, that seems pretty good. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I feel like that is a really good sign for this High Roller Club, for them to pay that much money for a $260,000 card value. And so I wanted to add that on there because it was kind of buried in the article, and I felt like that was a very important piece of information that we were all kind of wondering what would happen if one of these things was sold, and now we do know the answer to that question. Another big part of this is that Chili's Bar and Grill. Yes, if you like to go to Chili's and get yourself the Triple Dipper or get yourself a cookie skillet, this is that Chili's as the primary sponsor on the race car. Of course, it is a huge national brand, and I can tell you that there is more coming from Chili's in the world of dirt racing. I can't elaborate much more on that, but they will be increasing their brand recognition at dirt racing events here in the coming months and weeks and years and whatnot. I can't reveal too much more there, but still, Chili's Bar and Grill coming on as a sponsor of a dirt track racing car. I feel like that is a huge, huge deal. Cannot be stated enough. Other sponsors on the car from the picture we were shown at the PRI show include Gamebridge, which was a sponsor on Tyler Courtney's car this year, Safety Clean, Ziegler Auto Group, and Delaware Life. Those are other sponsors that are, you could see on the car from the photo. And of course, those are some pretty big names as well. There will be no lack of funding when it comes to this race car. That is for sure. Also, from one of the articles was that Giovanni Scelzi will run a Chili's-sponsored Keith Kunz Midget at the Chili Bowl Nationals in January as well. So keep an eye out for that. That'll be a cool-looking car, I'm sure, a cool midget. And crazy to see Giovanni Scelzi running for Keith Kunz Motorsports for the Chili Bowl Nationals. He will be fun to watch at that race as well. And the final thing I wanted to hit on here in this was Giovanni Scelzi and his stats there at the end of the year driving the Clausen Marshall Racing 7BC when Tyler Courtney was injured at Eldora. Gio obviously stepped into that race car for the California swing with high limit and ran it towards the end of the season as well. He ended up running 30 total races in the 7BC after his stint in the 18 car came to an end. He had 8 top 5 finishes and 14 top 10s in those 30 starts. Most of those, of course, coming against high limit. He ran quite a few races at the end of the year with the Outlaws as well. Some of the finishes in that time, he was 3rd in the debut night at Tully's Thunderbolt Raceway with high limit racing, 2nd at a Gold Cup Race of Champions prelim. He was 2nd at the 4 Crown Nationals at Eldora Speedway. He was 2nd at Bridgeport Motorsports Park, 3rd at Path Valley. He was 3rd at the Texas Motor Speedway Dirt Track, and he did run 7th at the Knoxville Nationals as well. So a lot of podium runs there in that car towards the end of the season. Not able to get a win. He did lead some laps. So I think he led laps at Bridgeport. He led laps at Path Valley. And I want to say he led laps maybe at Tulare. Could be wrong on that. But he did lead some laps there throughout some of those finishes. So he did have some good runs. Didn't get a win. But still a pretty solid ending to the season there for Giovanni Scelzi and kept that Clausen Marshall team 4th in the overall owners point standings. But I want to let you or ask you guys, what are your thoughts on this entire thing? The thoughts on Spire Motorsports coming in and joining the fold of sprint car racing, seeing the vision of sprint car racing and high limit racing to be exact, and jumping on board and doing all the things, spending all the money it takes to make it right, getting a guy like Eric Prutzman. What do you think about that? What do you think about the Chili's sponsor coming on board as well? Would love to hear all those thoughts and more down in the comment section below. A absolutely monumental announcement coming in today from Spire Motorsports. And finally, the cat is out of the bag and we know exactly what is happening. Also, let me know your thoughts on these numbers here for that 9 card in the High Roller Club. Once again, comment down below, hit like, hit subscribe, and we'll talk to you guys again here tomorrow on the Rodman Rundown.